I just switched to Court TV. It was on East Idaho. Samantha, let's get short haircuts. She's gonna say no. I need to finish my makeup. When we have that trial, yes, when, just like this trial, when we're covering this trial, all other cases get pushed to the back. When it goes to Idaho 4 trial, same thing. Yes, this is one of the cases we will be covering. We have a lot of cases this spring and summer. Ever since we started fighting my wrinkles more openly, I've got more of them. I think I broke myself. Sorry, but you guys are my mirror. What do you think about Brian Koberger being the suspect for another armed break-in before the Idaho 4 one? Hey, babe.
Yeah, Sandro.
Can you bring me my special thingy, my juice drink thingy? Is anyone doing that spoiled child? Like you drink a tablespoon of it a day? I think he did it too. However, I'm not concerned. I'm not convinced he did it alone anymore. Not at all. Try not to use the K word, Lisa. TikTok thinks we're not adults. They think we're children. So, you know. I got told off yesterday for using the word unaliving by someone in the chat. Like I like using that word. Yeah, that. Okay, is anyone doing the spoiled child healthy drink thing for when you get to a certain age and, you know, your hair starts breaking and you're losing collagen? It's okay. Yes, we love the TikTok shop, and the TikTok shop is great. No one's doing spoiled child? I have a second one that was sent to me by Maylee's. You guys know I love using Maylee's products too. But I have to finish this one first. This is one of those for when your hair starts breaking, your nails get thin, wrinkles start forming. This is supposed to help it. I don't know. They have it to where you could try it free for so many days. It's not horrible, but it's like drinking liquid butterscotch with a little bit of mango. If you guys watch me drink it, then I'm less likely to freak out about it, right? Yeah, Kathy, that is one of our most personal cases. That is a case we have followed since the very moment that she went missing. You can guarantee you we will be covering it every second of every day, no matter what. We'll be covering it. great. This one is, I'll put it back up so you guys can see. This is Lori Daybell, otherwise known as Lori Vallow, otherwise known as Doomsday Mom. Can you get me an ice water with some peels in it? Please.
It's already 1 o'clock.
Good thing you're a fast driver and you get there early.
Love you.
Love me too. I can't turn that anymore. I don't want to kiss your forehead. I got lipstick on. But I'll let you get me some ice water. Because you make it so great, and I know it's your way to say you love me by handing me an ice water. I'm pushing it.
You already have water.
Okay, there's a difference between water in a bottle and water in a cup with ice and lemon. Totally different. I hate it when he leaves. He just started this job, so I'm so used to him being home. So,
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Remote job.
Yeah, you need to get a remote job, babe.
Nobody's hiring for a remote. At least not me.
No, the only water that doesn't taste contaminated to me or dry is the Sunny water. Ice Mountain tastes contaminated and dry. To me.
And I don't drive
Thanks, babe.
fast.
I meant like not slow. What time did you feed the kids?
What?
What time did you feed the kids? I just need to know because I know what time I feed them based on your work schedule and you were off.
There's no more.
I'll stand by my statement, Your
They're
Honor.
just.
All right.
I just wanted to put it on the record. I don't want to argue about it.
All right,
They'll be fine.
the record's been made. I also put a little bit of additional information regarding Detective Kuhn's testimony into my minute entry yesterday that is probably posted or will be posted today to supplement the record. So I guess to the extent you're making some sort of
Yes, you did, and I have a
your
whole entire
objections
tab
noted,
on
I
it.
guess.
If you go to my profile, there's tabs. There's one for Madeline Soto.
Thank you.
Jury right here. All right, let's bring in the jury. Oh, wait. Do you have whatever?
I want to know what the 14th Amendment question was about.
I believe.
It is. It is, and it's one that I want to go to. If there's one case that I really want to go to, it's that one. One trial that I want to go to is that. I'm afraid that Florida might get it wrong again like they did with Casey Anthony. Thank you, Halsey. How are you? If you go to my tab, Lisa, there's a bunch of tabs. There's one with Madeline Soto's name on it. It might have Stearns on it too. I can't remember. I've got everything from the very beginning that I've covered on that case, which was everything that's been happening. Yes, that is what their first question was. They were having a question about the 14th Amendment, which deals with immunity. We can't figure out why. Yeah, that's why I will always use the victims' names until we're in the courtroom. Then when I That's when I was put up the. I hate his name though, because I hate what he did. He's one of the many people that I will give up my eternal resting place to guide him to hell when he goes. Make sure he gets right where he deserves to be, and then stand guard outside the exit to make sure he doesn't get out. Right along with Jen Soto. Maddie's own mom.
Cross-examination of this witness.
Okay. Well, good. Then we know we have somewhere to stay when we go down there for the case. You know, I want to put, I want to get us a group lock to put on the gate. I've been seeing a lot of really pretty ones. I want to get one really pretty made, and I want us to put criminal musings on it.
Detective Coons, I know we didn't really establish yesterday. I know that you're retired. Is that okay if I call you Detective Coons, or would you prefer something else?
Detective is fine.
Okay, thank you.
You're ass kissing today, aren't
Detective
you?
Coons, yesterday you testified that no stippling was found as a result of the shot on my husband's chest. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, none
Number
was found.
7.
Okay. So would it surprise you if the
Right.
medical examiner expressed in his defense interview that there was stippling found in that shot?
Would it surprise me that he had found it? Not necessarily based on the information.
Jamie, I saw you just sneak in. She called him her husband again. Is that 7 or 8?
Okay. Would it surprise you if the medical examiner expressed that the shooter would have had to be 2 to 4 feet away for that stippling to be present?
And this is from
There we go. We're on 8.
your interview or from the report?
From the interview.
No, that actually would still be consistent with my observations at the scene.
Okay, great.
How you guys doing over there? I
If
see you all
someone
in
very
chat.
muscular like my husband were 2 to 4 feet away from you holding up a bat, would you consider that a threat?
I don't object to speculation.
Hi, aerial
and
view.
relevance.
Your Honor, I'm asking for his opinion as a professional and as a firearms expert.
He's not, okay.
That goes to the ultimate
hold
decision.
They have to say he's expert first.
It's sustained and it calls for a legal.
Thank you, Halsey.
It calls for a legal conclusion?
Yes, move on.
He said yes, move on.
Were you present, Detective, when my husband was shot?
No, ma'am.
9.
Is there a video recording of it?
She sure is.
To my knowledge, no.
But you know who was there when he was shot? You were, Lori.
So
Thank you for
is
the
your
follow.
opinion then an educated guess about what really happened?
It's based on known facts.
In training and
Were you aware, Detective, that my husband and my brother were very good friends?
No, ma'am, I didn't know the relationship.
Did you know that they hung out and played golf together?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I'm going somewhere with this.
I guess,
My follow-up question will explain.
I guess you can answer if you knew that they played golf.
I did not know.
this is gonna be a wild day.
In all
I
of your
can just
investigation
feel
of
it.
my life, you never came across this information?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
And argumentative.
Are you familiar with my husband's wishes for his funeral?
Objection,
10.
relevance.
Sustained.
We're counting the number of times she calls Charles her husband.
Did you learn in your investigation that he named my brother Alex as one of his 5 best friends?
11.
And I'm going to object again to relevance.
Sustained.
Did you read the reports
Okay, thank you.
in this case?
I did not read all of the reports in this case. No, I've read mine and I've authored mine.
Jamie
but I have
says
not
11.
read the other reports.
None of the other reports except for your own?
She's been my
That's correct.
tracker.
Okay. Detective, are you familiar with the follow-up report you wrote dated July 29th, 2019?
You're going to have to be a little bit more specific.
Did you review your reports in preparation for your testimony here today?
Yes, but I have not memorized the dates of when I made a report entry.
Okay. Would you like to see it to refresh your recollection?
That would be helpful.
Okay.
She's gonna fight today with him. That much is clear. But he has zero patience today. See how my eyes are sunken in? You guys are seeing a lot more now. I don't like this. Secondhand embarrassment is what I call it. For Lori, I mean, not for my eye bags.
Okay.
Does that look like a true and correct copy of your report, Detective?
I believe it is.
And those Bates pages run from what to what, please?
They're obscured in the footnotes of it, but it looks like it's 126 through 131.
Okay. And on the last page of your report, on Bates page 131, you explain what a shored wound is.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you read that underlined portion?
I would object to hearsay to reading it.
Sustained. You can ask him to explain what a short wound is.
Okay. Can you explain to us what the shored wound is that you explained in your report?
Yes, a shored wound would be a wound created as an exit wound where the projectile is exiting the body and the body is either up against a firm surface or firm material like spandex
Thank
type
you
thing.
for the
That's
follow,
how it's
Jesus.
been explained to me.
Okay. That's
Hey,
fair. You
Sarah,
said
how
held
are
in
you?
place by tight clothing. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. Did you in fact, and it says in your report, did you in fact collect my husband's clothing?
yes,
And you took the clothing, it says, to the property storage facility. Is that correct?
yes, it went to a drying cage.
I think she's
Okay.
confused.
Detective, are you familiar with bamboo clothing?
I can't say that I am.
Okay. Were you aware that on July 29th, 2019, my husband was wearing a $200 bamboo workout shirt?
Objection relevant.
You can answer if you know.
I have no idea what the cost is.
Are you aware that bamboo is a heavy-duty fabric, not to rip or tear except under extreme conditions?
I've not done any research into bamboo fabric.
He said he didn't know bamboo fabric, ma'am.
So could this fabric of his shirt have caused the wound to be short?
It could have been a contributor, but it would not have been in this particular case.
Why so?
The body would have been on the floor where the bullet defect was, in the floor.
So you just said in your report earlier that a short wound could be caused by tight clothing. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you're saying that could not have happened in this case?
The shirt did not appear to be tight clothing to me.
Well, it was made of bamboo, as we established, right?
Argumentative.
Is that correct?
I am taking your word for it. I do not know that it's a bamboo shirt.
Okay. And you did not investigate that at all?
No, ma'am.
But you had the shirt in your possession,
It was seized as evidence, yes.
and you never checked what kind of fabric it was,
No, ma'am.
and you never checked if that could be a possibility,
She's wanting an
No.
Elle Woods
and you knew that
moment.
spandex was kind of a material that could make that kind of short mark that you just mentioned, correct?
It would have to be super tight clothing,
Super tight clothing,
yes.
or a fabric that's even stronger than the spandex that you mentioned.
The strength of the fabric, I don't believe, has a huge play in it unless it is form-fitting and compressing the skin, much like a hard surface or firm surface would.
Okay?
It sounds like she's trying to get her Elle Wood moment in. I'm not kidding. I think that's where she's going. She couldn't get her you can't handle the truth moment, so she's going Elle Wood on us.
But what you said in your
Right, not
report
Kevlar.
was that held in place by tight clothing could cause a short wound.
As has been explained to me, yes.
Okay. Detective, in your report, you mention let's see. So it is possible that his shirt could have caused the wound and not the floor.
I'm going to object to asked and answered.
I'll let him answer.
I don't know if it's possible or not for that particular shirt to have caused a short wound
I don't like
Because you did
these.
not do any investigation about the shirt.
because the shirt did not appear to be form-fitting and very tight.
Did it cover over the shoulder where the wound was?
It was a full t-shirt at the time.
That's what I'm saying. So was the t-shirt where the wound was on his back, where the bullet exited, was his shirt covering that part of his body?
Certainly.
Okay. Was there a hole in the shirt at that location?
Yes, ma'am.
How big was the hole?
The size of the bullet?
So small. Small.
Fabric stretches and contracts, so it was a bullet size.
Okay. So when you had this shirt and you saw the bullet hole, it was after the shirt had been cut off by the firefighters. Is that correct?
It hadn't been cut off, it had been cut down the middle, down the front,
So just the front was cut. So the back
Trigger
was
warning.
intact?
minus the defects that we have seen from the bullet and exits, yes.
Okay.
Me too, Heather.
So you were able to measure that. Do you have a measurement for those bullet holes in the shirt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So it is possible that his shirt could have caused the wound, the shored wound.
Object, again, that we've asked and answered this 3 times now.
Okay, so is it possible that any shirt could have caused a shored wound in any kind of,
And I'm going to object to foundation as to any overly broad.
as an expert?
Let me rule on the
Okay.
I'll sustain the objection.
As an expert and in your professional opinion, could that fabric of his shirt that he was wearing that day caused a shored wound?
Again, I'm going to object to asked and answered multiple times.
Sustain.
In the last paragraph of your report, Detective, you indicate that you were able to confirm your suspicion of the body position at the scene. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you mean by suspicion?
Well, at the time, I couldn't see through his body to see the full trajectories, so I did need the information from the autopsy. The trajectory rods helped with that, as well as the doctor's statements. All of that combined did give me the 2 different bullet paths.
Okay. And then, can you tell me, Detective, what happened to my husband's shirt? Do you know where it is now?
It is in evidence, as far as I'm aware.
15,
And
16?
it's, when you looked at it, where was it?
I think we were at one more.
The last I physically saw that shirt was when I handed it off to a crime scene tech to put into a drying cage with the instructions, once it was dry, to have it moved into the property facility.
And so, did you see it after it was in the property facility?
No, ma'am, I have not.
So you saw it before it was dried, is that correct?
While it was wet from the medical examiner's office, yes.
And that's when you examined it?
I had seen it at the scene as well.
And then, did you ever examine it?
No, ma'am,
Okay, so you saw it twice.
that's fair.
Okay. So you didn't test it for anything?
I did not.
Did anyone test it for anything?
I
that
do
you're
not
aware
know.
of? That you're aware of?
I do not know.
So you're not aware of it?
That would
Correct.
be the
I do not
assumption.
know if anybody else tested it.
Was the wood floor tested for any fragments of the projectile?
It was actually seized, so it was not tested.
What does seized mean?
We cut it out of the floor and kept it.
Right, and then was it tested after it was seized?
No, ma'am.
It has
So
to
the
be
wood floor
preserved.
plank that was taken from my residence was never tested for any fragments of the projectile.
The projectile was intact, minus a deformity to it.
Okay. But there wasn't any reason, are you saying there was no reason to test it?
There had been no implication or indication that there was a request for it to be tested.
And you wouldn't do that to see if the projectile actually hit the floor?
He already
No,
determined.
ma'am, all the other circumstances and information that led up to that decision to seize the floor, everything appeared that it was going to be related to the actual bullet that passed through your husband's body and struck the floor.
Wouldn't testing the floor actually be the easiest way to be sure that the bullet hit the floor?
Not necessarily would it leave anything behind. Like I said, the bullet was a full metal jacket. It was still intact. There had been a significant amount of blood that had pooled in it. I do not know if there would be residue left behind in it for testing.
Fair. Okay. Was the projectile tested for any marks from the floor?
No, ma'am.
Were you aware that this was a rental house that we lived in?
I believe I'd heard that.
Okay. Were you aware that we had only lived there for about 3 weeks prior to this incident?
I knew it was a short time period, but I did not know the actual duration.
Did you know that? You know that by the time you wrote this report, right?
I don't recall knowing the exact time frame that you had lived there.
Thank you.
Okay.
ENLAREN, yeah.
The defect in the floor of the rental house that we lived in could have already been there before this incident. Is that correct?
Not in my opinion, no.
How are you,
But it could
Desiree?
have.
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
Sustained.
So of all the divots that we saw yesterday in the pictures on the floor, it could not have been there beforehand?
Again, asked and answered.
I'll let him answer. Go ahead.
The divots I believe you're referring to were extremely smaller than the actual defect, which was still relatively fresh and not sealed like the other divots were.
Okay, can we see?
Welcome to the team, Kelly. Thank you.
These were previously published, so I can use them, right?
Yeah,
Can we look
just
at these?
refer to the exhibit number, please.
Okay. Just put it on. Detective, can you see that? I can't see that very well in there. So, in Exhibit 57, Detective,
I'm looking.
this, where my pin is pointing,
Yes, ma'am?
that's the defect that you're referring to where the bullet struck. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am?
Okay. And these defects were already previously at the residence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am?
And do they look that much significantly different than that to you?
Yes, they do.
What do you think the measurement difference in that is, in your professional opinion?
There is no scale on this photograph. It would be difficult for me to give you an estimate.
Thank you, Kim.
So in your estimation, this defect is much larger than this defect. Is that correct?
The second defect you're pointing to appears to be wood grain indentations. The other is an actual defect in the
Hey,
board.
Tina, how are you?
Okay. Thank you. But this defect, this piece of wood that was cut out, was not tested. Is that correct?
Again, asked and answered.
Don't give her too much
Technically
room.
correct, but I'll let him answer.
Come on, you keep giving her room for
Correct.
that.
To my knowledge, it was not tested.
Thank you.
You're giving her too much room.
So do you know, Detective, for a fact, that the defect on my wood floor was caused by the second bullet?
And again, I'm going to object to asked and answered.
Sustained.
She wants her you can't
When
handle
we
the
looked
truth.
at the projectiles yesterday, the one from the baseboard clearly had white paint on it from the baseboard. Is that correct?
Baseboard or the drywall, perhaps.
Good point, Tina.
Okay, but we all saw the white paint. Is that correct?
There was a white marking on it.
Was that tested for the white paint?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
There was no decision made to have it tested.
Because it was logical that it was in the baseboard where the baseboard was painted white, right?
It was very clear that it had passed through your husband and lodged in the baseboard. And upon recovery, there was no deformation to it, indicating that it was a straight-on impact or relatively close, so that it embedded itself into the baseboard.
Correct. So it wasn't tested because it really didn't need to be, in your opinion.
Correct.
Okay, that's fair.
I agree with you on that, Tina.
Next, we looked at the projectile that, according to you, made the defect in my
Hi,
wood
Crystal,
floor.
how
Is
are
that
you?
correct?
I don't understand your question. Next, we look at it, but I don't see anything.
Oh, we saw the projectile. Can I find out what exhibit that was?
Yeah.
Your paralegal has all those photographs.
Can we use the actual
Yeah,
exhibit?
She can approach and.
She's got that I know everything look on her face today. Because she wants to sound smart after they say something. She just wants to have the last word. In my opinion. I'm telling you, she used a curling iron on that hair. Not just the regular, what you can use in jail things. By the way, guys, we also call Lori Laren because she's another true crime Karen. We have our own Karen that's not a Karen. So her nickname is Laren, just so you know. Yeah, true. Desiree, did you see my video about Taylor's business? Hi, Cat Lady. How are you?
Do you want her to hand that to the witness?
I agree, Ariel View. I completely agree with you on that. Mm-hmm.
Is that 239? Detective, for the record,
She hasn't
you're looking
specified
at
why, but it was her
exhibit
choice.
239, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the projectile that we are talking about that you claimed made the divot in my wood floor?
You
Yes,
do.
ma'am.
Okay. So was that projectile was not
Hi,
tested, is that
Lacey.
correct?
How are you?
Your Honor,
Is that what you
I'm going
said?
to object to asked and answered at least 3 times.
Sustained.
Does that projectile look pristine to you?
No, ma'am. As I've previously testified, it is slightly deformed.
What side is it deformed on? What part about it is deformed?
The back end, the heel area is compressed a little bit so that it's now oval as opposed to circular.
And it wasn't in her name, it was
And
in
that would indicate
Charles's.
what?
That would indicate that as the bullet struck something firm on its side, it compressed, and then it continued on moving.
Okay. So that's what you mean by a shored wound. It hit up against something. Is that correct?
The terminology as it's been described to me is it's the skin is against a firm surface. So in this particular case, the floor would be the firm surface. So as it's entering or exiting your husband and starting to try to enter the floor is forcing the bullet to kind of ricochet, but the body's still keeping it in place. So it's now deforming a little bit and it's still expending its energy to escape from underneath the body.
Okay.
I agree, Tina.
And if my husband was in fact laying on the floor, how did it get out from under his body? Wouldn't it have gotten stuck under? That's my question.
Just what?
15? No,
Could you explain
16.
that to me?
That's 16.
I think I just did. So the bullet is a full metal jacket. It still has its energy. Until it starts striking things to cause resistance to it, to slow it down, it's going to
Is it
expend
okay?
its energy at a normal rate. I think I just lost the mic, I'm not sure. Okay. When it starts striking firm objects, then it'll start bleeding the energy away. And in this particular case, as it's exiting your husband's body, it's impacting bone, it's impacting the flesh that's compressed against the floor, and it's impacting the floor now. So there is going to be a lot of resistance against that.
He was
Now,
yesterday
where
too.
it exited, it's still not free to just fly like the one that went through his chest and out the back. It's still semi-trapped between your husband's body and the floor, so that's going to cause even more energy drain until it comes to rest.
And how far away from my husband's shoulder was that bullet fragment found? The projectile, I guess.
When it was found, I don't know the exact measurement away from it. I would say a foot or more, maybe.
Okay, so that's what you're talking about the energy. It still had energy.
We're at
to keep
16
moving.
now, Jamie.
Is that correct?
It had enough to escape from being under the body.
Okay.
She just said it again, so now we're at 16. Thank you. Catnip has the numbers till Jamie gets back.
So because of what you saw at the scene, and you state in your report that it was your suspicion that that's what had happened, was that my husband was supine on the floor. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So was it your suspicion from the start of this investigation that led you to not confirm any other alternative?
What other alternative, ma'am? My job was to collect the information and put it together with the information that was being collected in the interviews. The information from the interviews did not completely match everything that I had learned at the scene.
Okay. Well, let's see.
She's
You did
going
not
to
test
challenge
the
him.
wood floor, is that correct?
I'm going to object again to asked and answered multiple times.
Argumentative.
You did not test the projectile, is that correct?
I'm going to again object to asked and answered multiple times, and I'm going to move to start striking every question.
Sustained.
You did not investigate my husband's shirt.
And object again to asked and answered multiple times.
Sustained.
Did you call Aloha, Carolina, and ask them about the fabric of my husband's shirt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So would it be fair to
Smartass.
say that you made an assumption early on and only investigated the things that supported that assumption?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Remember in your report where you stated that the bullet strike to the abdomen had an upward trajectory, passing through the left lung before exiting near the left shoulder?
Yes.
Okay. Could that upward trajectory have been caused by my husband falling backwards and the bullet hitting the abdomen and going upwards and exiting his shoulder as he hit the floor?
No, not in my opinion.
Okay. Detective Coons, on July 11th, 2019, were you at the Chandler Police Department during my interview?
No, ma'am.
Were you there that morning when we were brought into the Chandler Police Department at all?
No, ma'am. I was at the scene.
Okay. I thought you didn't get to the scene until 11:45.
No, that was when we actually obtained the search warrant. It was about a little after 11:45. I was
Okay.
already at the scene shortly after 9 o'clock.
Okay. Did you see the injury on the back of Alex's head with your own eyes?
I did not take a close look at it. I saw the paper towel that he was
Hi,
holding
Cass.
against his
Thank
head.
you.
But you did not see the wound itself.
That's what I said
No.
too. Amber Heard, 100%. Whose appeal?
Are you aware if Alex's hands were swabbed for gunshot residue?
There would have been no reason to swab for gunshot residue.
Why is that?
He had already stated that he was the shooter.
Oh, okay.
He had stated it?
To my knowledge, that's how the information was provided to me.
And just so you know, Daryl Brooks is representing himself in his appeal now. That was just decided a few days ago.
Okay. Are you aware if my hands were swabbed for gunshot residue?
I am not.
Okay. Are you aware if my daughter's hands were swabbed for gunshot residue?
I am not.
Do you know for a fact that Alex shot the gun in question?
Based on the information provided, that is what I have, yes.
Do you know that for a fact?
Just with the information that's been provided, I can't tell you one way or another if there's another shooter because the evidence does not show that there was.
Okay. So all you really know for sure, after your 5 years of investigation, is that my husband was shot 2 times. 1 by that particular gun,
Yes, she has.
2 with those particular bullets, at my residence, and that he passed away as a result of that. Would that be correct?
Oversimplified, there is a lot more information that is available to us for that.
Is that correct? Is that question correct?
No.
Those are some known facts, yes, but that is not all we know.
She has on a couple occasions. I agree, Cat Lady.
So you can't really tell me for sure who shot him, can you?
Well, as we've established, I was not present when it happened.
But you were, Lori.
I can only go with the facts of what people have said and what the evidence shows.
Okay. You don't really know what time he was shot, do you?
Actually, no, I don't.
Okay. You don't really know if he was falling back or lying supine on the floor, do you?
Yes, I do.
You don't really know what time my husband actually
Yes,
passed away,
conspiracy.
do you?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Thank you. No more questions.
All right, redirect.
Your Honor, I still have stuff
22.
she
You
gave.
can pass those. Let's have your paralegal get the report that you gave him, but I'll take exhibit 239, is it?
She also said Alex did it. It's funny how she's forgetting those facts. She's in a mood today, you guys. She's bound and determined to make her point and be right about it. So she's like that out of the gate already. This is her first person to question. I think we could say it's going to be an interesting afternoon. Prosecutor's pissed. You could see it in her face.
All right, Detective, I know we started yesterday, so I'm going to kind of go back through a few different areas, all right?
I would have said 2 weeks. Now I don't know anymore.
In
Thank
terms
you.
of just understanding your role working with crime scene techs, you had testified yesterday that they are often the ones who actually pick up the item of evidence and put it in a bag, correct?
Frequently, yes.
Are you there observing them as they do that?
Yes.
You're not just wandering around outside drinking a coffee while they're processing the house?
No, ma'am.
So every item that we've brought in is something that you observed, you were there as they were documented and collected.
Correct.
And some of them, like the gun, you actually had to make safe before it could be collected.
Actually, Detective Duncan is the one that made it safe, but I was present for those things.
You were asked about the backyard being searched. When you have other people searching the house, and I think you'd said it was a collaborative event, if someone observes something, do they bring it to your attention as the scene agent?
Yes, if I'm asking somebody to do a search for me to help out with a larger area, it is their responsibility to bring it forward to me if they discover something that they think is important.
And if they see something, you would then go out and observe it yourself?
Yes.
We had talked about the gun yesterday and the attention source.
Ma'am, the microphone, if you will. She's going to show the firearm.
See if this will be visible here. What do we see right here?
So that is the ejection port.
So when we're talking about how this, how a semi-automatic gun works, and you were talking about the ejection to the right, is that
Love you too.
in
Have a
this
good day.
gun indicated by the opening where that ejection port is, the side that it's on of the gun?
The opening is part of how it'll indicate where it ejects. Also the extractor, which is a small lever behind the ejection port, is what grabs the casing to pull it out. And internally, there's going to be an ejector that's
Thank
usually
you.
a small pinpoint that kicks it, and the springs basically flip it out.
Thank
So
you.
all of that was what made you understand which way the casings would have ejected out of this gun.
Yes,
Now, you told us that that every gun can be slightly different if it's more upward, more outward, and you are unaware for this gun what that ejection would be like.
correct.
I'm going to go back to your diagram. This is Exhibit 5.
And he's representing himself in his appeal. Think on that one.
Are you able to, by looking at the measurements that you took, give us an estimate of the distance between those two casings that you have listed here as 9 and 10?
My estimation would be a couple feet.
And I guess, would your measurements, did you take measurements of where those were?
I took measurements from the reference points to triangulate it, but I did not measure distance between each object to the other objects.
Thank you for the follow.
So the measurements that we see, I'll take it out of here. On the second page of your report, are those triangulations that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So are we able to extrapolate from this any distance between those two, or we are left with what you recall at this point?
You're left with what I recall, but I also, on my diagram, I put a reference line or dimension line. It's near the north-south indicator, and that helps somebody who's looking at it get an idea of what a measurement might be in the diagram.
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome to the team.
This line up here?
Correct.
There was a lot of questions about where the shooter might have been at the time when this shooting occurred.
I agree.
Start with 19 while I look for a different perspective, but in this house, you've talked about a rounded wall. Can you tell us where you're talking about for that? And I'm going to put 14. So on 14, what is this rounded wall that you're talking about when you're referring to the location or potential location, let me say the general location of the shooter?
So the rounded wall is at the south end of the main room that we're in, where the body's at. And it's also directly across from the hallway that runs to the 3 bedrooms and the hall bathroom.
So is that this wall that we see in Exhibit 14 right here?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, when we are talking about a gun being fired and casings ejecting, as someone who has fired guns before, have you fired them on where the casings are landing on a hard surface?
Yes,
I agree with you.
Do casings bounce and roll?
they do.
So is the location of these casings, do they tell us exactly where they initially landed when they ejected?
No,
This is just where they ended up or stopped.
it's where we found them.
They could have been kicked at some point as well.
Yes.
When you are looking at this scene, are you relying upon these physical items of evidence to reach your opinion?
They would be some of it, yes.
And then are you relying on your training and experience in conjunction with observing the physical evidence as well as the injuries to Charles?
That would also be good pieces of the puzzle.
And are you able to give us the exact location of this shooter?
No, ma'am.
Are you giving us a general area of the shooter?
Yes, ma'am.
And for the shot that goes through Charles's chest and out his back, where is the general area that you are saying the shooter was located?
The shooter would have been located somewhere in the opening to
Thank you
where
for
the
the follow.
kitchen and the hallway is, in close proximity to the rounded corner as well.
Okay, I put up exhibit 16 here. So somewhere in this area?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you were asked a lot about
I think you have to. We claim you.
the autopsy report and stippling. You were provided with a copy of it by the defendant, correct?
It was never provided to me.
You weren't allowed to look at a copy of it?
The report that she gave me was my report from the channel report system, not the medical examiner.
Have you ever looked at the autopsy report?
Welcome
I
back.
have.
Did you, in regards to the injury to Charles's chest, the entrance
Thank you,
wound,
Tina.
ever see the word stippling used there?
No, that was not in the report.
When you were reading that, did you interpret the way that Dr. Baumgartner wrote that to mean abrasions related to the actual entrance wound of the gunshot?
That's how I interpreted it.
Does that mean that Dr. Baumgartner didn't mean stippling?
I don't know medical jargon so well, so he could have very well meant it with how he wrote it, but to me it did not come across that way.
Okay. And when you were at the autopsy, you don't recall him ever telling you about the stippling?
Not in that word, no.
But you were there at the autopsy, correct?
Yes, I was.
Are you in the room with him, like right there next to him?
No, we are actually mandated to stay in the, I guess it's the viewing area of that particular location.
There's a window between you and he's in a different room?
Yes.
So you also were asked about Dr. Baumgartner saying in a defense interview that because of this, what you've now been told is stippling around that gunshot wound to the chest, that the shooter or the gun
Hey,
being used could have been 2 to 4 or so feet away. Do you recall being told that?
Yes, I do.
how are you?
I have a little thing here, 24 inches. So 2 feet, 24 inches.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't know if I can approach or if I have to have my,
Go ahead.
thank you. So when we're talking about 2 feet, then from the
Doing pretty good, thanks.
on his chest,
The indicator would be from the muzzle to the chest.
so that distance is
Yes.
understanding that additional information that the defendant provided you, that Dr. Baumgartner advised during a defense interview, does that alter your opinion in any way as to where the shooter would have been the general location of the shooter for this shot to his chest?
No, it actually makes sense with the completed trajectory that ended up in the baseboard.
So those,
The one asking to approach was the prosecutor. It wasn't Lori. Good afternoon, Susan. How are you?
being 2 feet away from Charles Vallow when the end of the gun to his chest did not seem so far away that, or so close that it didn't fit in with your opinion.
Yeah, 2 to 4 feet would be certainly consistent with what I saw.
So he's 2 to 4 feet away from him in this area.
Away from that area, yes.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the floor itself that you observed underneath Charles's shoulder after he was removed.
Probably,
okay?
yeah.
I'm putting up Exhibit 244. That's the actual piece of wood. And Your Honor, can I actually publish this to the jury and have them
Yes.
look at it? Thank you. I'll just have them look at that and then I'll ask a couple questions.
She'll get to question them too if they're being called. I believe Kay is. Right, Lucen, I agree. Thank you, Desiree.
Detective,
Thank you.
in looking at the floor itself, you told us that you looked through the whole floor in that room to see if you found any similar types of defects, correct?
Correct.
Did you find other defects on the floor, just period?
There are other imperfections.
You had testified on cross that there was something about the freshness of the defect itself. Were you able to sort of feel a difference in the wood grain,
Thank you.
where that indentation is that we see in Exhibit 59 and in the actual piece 244, than you observed in other defects across the floor?
Yes, it did appear to be different than the other imperfections or defects.
Was there anything about the defect itself that indicated a path of travel?
Yes, there is a kind of a linear mark to it, and you'll also see at the in this particular photograph that there's like
Thank
a
you,
slight
Catnip.
semicircular edge as it exits towards the top right.
And was there anything about that pattern itself, both the depth, the freshness, the location of it, that made you feel it was consistent with a bullet strike?
All of those factors help make it consistent with it, not to mention the location of the projectile that was in close proximity to this defect.
So let's talk a little bit about those projectiles. I'm putting Exhibit 40 up here. Do we see the projectile over here next to Charles Vallow?
Yes.
Now, were you aware when you were given this scene that fire had already been there?
Yes, I was.
Pretty obvious because of all the medical devices, right?
They left a tail.
And if you were advised that fire has testified that they rolled Mr. Vallow onto his right side towards the west, would that have then exposed his left shoulder there?
They should have.
Do you know whether or not that bullet was ever moved at all personally?
Well, I have no idea what the condition of that bullet was until I physically saw it.
Now, the location of this bullet here on the floor next to Charles, why is that significant in determining whether or not Charles was upright or down?
Well, it's significant because for this particular shot, he would have basically been vulnerable, if you will.
Let me ask it this way. Why is that significant in making your opinion that he was on the floor versus upright for the shot to the abdomen?
Oh, okay. The angle of entry into the abdomen and exit is not consistent with him being upright or any other way other than lying on the floor. The defect is where the defect is, and the bullet, as demonstrated with the chest shot, had enough energy to exit. And had he been any other direction, I would not have expected the defect to be right underneath the body.
So if someone is standing and someone's on the floor shooting upward, where would the bullet go?
Well, if he's standing and the shooter is horizontal, then the bullet would go towards the ceiling or high wall area.
So this idea that it would end up on the floor below him and right next to him, would that fit with that scenario?
Of him standing, no.
When you're looking at the bullets and the location of them in this scene, we had that other projectile,
Hi, Christy,
up here, that went into the baseboard on the east side of the room, correct?
Yes.
When you talk about someone being standing upward and the bullet being slowed, can you explain to us how this bullet landing over here
how are you?
and embedding itself in that baseboard is consistent with Charles being standing upright when he was shot?
It fits the dimension of the room. It fits the wound path through the chest and exiting the back, because the exit is lower than the entry. So there is already a downward motion to it. I know that the bullet struck the spine prior to exiting, so that would bleed even some more energy from it and potentially cause it to start dropping as well.
So the wound itself was slightly downward?
Yes.
And then given the distance away from Charles, this would be, in your mind, consistent with having gone through him in that chest to back exit downward angle?
Correct.
So that really only left one other bullet in the room to explain the other injury?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the one that was right next to him?
Correct.
You were asked whether or not you made
Hi,
assumptions
Joanne. How are you?
about
I'm okay.
shooting, how it occurred. When you got to the
Go ahead.
scene, you were given a basic briefing, right?
Yes.
How do you start looking at a scene when you're observing the evidence there?
I do an overall assessment of the scene. I apply the initial information that's given to me, and I progress from there.
That was loud. Thank you.
Physical evidence is what it is. Are you trying to find a new way to make that work?
No, I let the evidence speak for itself.
So here, the physical evidence is one bullet is in the baseboard, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so that had to come from somewhere that makes sense for that trajectory, right?
Yes.
And then the other bullet is right next to Charles.
Correct.
And so, again, you're looking at all the physical evidence and how that fits together.
Yes.
And in this case, in your opinion, the shot through Charles's chest that exited his back, did the evidence support to you that he was standing up for this shot?
Thank you for subscribing, Heather. I appreciate you.
And in your opinion, looking at all the physical evidence from the casings, the projectile, the injuries to Charles, was that consistent with the shooter? And now that you know the stippling, with the shooter being still in that sort of kitchen hallway-ish area when he fired that shot at Charles?
Yes.
And
Thank
in
you.
your opinion, again, looking at the casings, the injuries to Charles, the location of the projectile, as well as the shored wound, and the lack of stippling, does that support your opinion that Charles was on the ground when he was shot in the abdomen?
Yes, it does.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Now, when you go to comments, there'll be a star next to the typing box. That's the stickers that you now get to use. So have fun with those stickers. Finally, on to a new witness, you guys. Finally. That guy. Poor guy.
I'm gonna go get her.
Yeah, I think Daryl Brooks decided to fire his appeal lawyer and represent himself, much to the same reason why Lori's doing it. It's like, well, not this. Lori still has one more trial to go after this one finishes. Let me see if I have the list in my phone still. One sec. These are the civilian witnesses: Christina Atwood, Adam Cox, Nancy Jo Hancock, Serena Sharp, and Kay Woodcock. And this is thanks to Jamie. Thank you for sending these. And we also have the following people from the Chandler Police Department. My eyes are not that good, so those words you're going to have to read on your own. That's a really good question, Sarah. One I don't know the answer to. It was originally supposed to be those two trials together, and she's the one that wanted them separate. But she also wants her right to a speedy trial and to take her time. She wants her cake and to eat it too, but it doesn't work that way in the real world, and Lori fails to realize that.
All right, come on up. You're gonna stand right here and be sworn in.
Who did they just call? Who I think they just called? What's tomorrow night, Lacey?
All right, you're gonna come around the court reporter, have a seat up here to my left.